After the age of 60, something profound shifts. Life finally slows down just enough for us to see, really see, the beauty woven into everyday moments. The way morning light dances across the kitchen counter, the soft, joyful laughter of a grandchild, the calm that comes with not having to rush anymore. We've spent decades building a life, planning for the future, but now we're standing in it. This is the life we built, and every choice, how we spend our time, our energy, our money, suddenly feels more meaningful than ever. Yet quietly and without intention, some habits from our younger years linger. Habits that once helped us survive or succeed may now quietly weigh us down. Some drain our savings with little to show for it. Some steal our peace with unnecessary stress. Others chip away at the joy and lightness our later years are meant to hold. So today I want to speak to you, woman to woman, about the spending traps that often sneak into our lives after 60. This isn't about judgment or guilt. It's an invitation, a gentle, loving nudge to pause and reflect. Because you deserve more than just getting by. You deserve to feel free, secure, and in full ownership of your life. And if any part of what we discussed today feels familiar, I want you to know, you are not alone. Every wise woman I know is still learning, still evolving, still discovering what serves her best in this chapter of life. That's not a failure. It's something to celebrate. So take a deep breath, pour yourself a warm cup of tea, and let's have an honest, heart-to-heart conversation about the small spending choices that can quietly shape the life you truly want to live. Number 1, the illusion of designer labels. Let's begin with a familiar story, one many of us have lived without even realizing it. The illusion of designer labels. For years, expensive brand name clothing seemed like a symbol of elegance, success, and being put together. We wore Chanel, Coach, Nordstrom, and others not just for fashion, but for validation. For decades, many women believed that wearing a certain label would help us be seen, respected, or valued more deeply. And in some ways, it worked. In professional settings, at social gatherings, even around family, showing up in the right outfit gave us confidence. Looking polished made us feel strong, in control. Let me tell you about Helen. She's 68 and lives in a quiet neighborhood in Pennsylvania. For most of her adult life, Helen adored fashion. Her closet was a display of designer devotion. Rows of handbags, elegant blouses, neatly lined shoes, all carefully chosen and cherished. Each morning, she would spend time crafting her look, selecting accessories that matched just right. Fashion wasn't just clothing to Helen, it was part of her identity. But everything changed after retirement. Her days became slower, quieter. She found joy in baking with her grandchildren, tending to her garden, and volunteering at the local library. One morning, standing in front of her full closet, Helen asked herself a simple but powerful question. Who am I getting dressed for now? That was the shift. She realized none of those precious, slow moments demanded $300 shoes or logo-covered handbags. What those moments asked for was her presence, her warmth, her comfort. Today, Helen still dresses with care, but her favorite outfits are soft, simple, and easy to move in. She says the best thing she wears now is her smile, and she means it. Because real elegance, it's never been about labels. It's in the kindness you show, the stories you share, the love you give. You don't need a designer name to be valuable. You already are. So next time you feel that old tug to spend big on a brand name, pause. Ask yourself, does this add joy or just cost? You might be surprised how much lighter and freer you feel when you choose authenticity over status. 2, the pressure to upgrade technology. Now let's talk about something a little sneaky. The constant pressure to always upgrade to the latest technology. Phones, tablets, smartwatches. Every year, a newer, shinier model is released, promising faster speeds, sharper cameras, longer battery life, and features we're told we simply cannot live without. And it's tempting, isn't it? The advertisements are everywhere. They paint the picture that if we don't keep up, we're somehow falling behind. Let me tell you about Ruth. She's 72 years old and lives in a quiet town in Oregon. Ruth has always been independent and pretty tech-savvy. She loved staying connected to her family, sharing pictures, and reading the news on her tablet. So when the latest phone came out, with its fancy titanium body, ultra-powerful camera, and dozens of new features, Ruth thought, why not? She decided to treat herself, spending over $1,000 on the newest model, believing it would make life easier. But it didn't. Instead, it made everything harder. The new phone had different buttons, new menus, and settings that confused her. She missed calls without realizing it. She couldn't find her favorite apps. Something that was supposed to make her life simpler ended up making her feel overwhelmed and frustrated. And here's the real truth. All Ruth truly wanted was to FaceTime her daughter and see pictures of her brand new great-grandbaby. Her old phone could have done that perfectly well. Technology is meant to serve us, not stress us out. Newer doesn't always mean better, especially when the device you already have is still working just fine and meeting your real needs. Ruth eventually returned the fancy new phone and happily went back to her older, familiar one. She felt more in control, more peaceful, and more connected, without chasing endless updates. So if you ever feel the pressure to upgrade, pause and ask yourself, what do I actually use this for? If your current device still serves you well, let that be enough. You are not behind because you choose simplicity. You are wise, and wisdom means knowing the difference between what you want and what you truly need. Number 3, the weight of credit card interest. Now let's shine a light on something that often lurks quietly in the background, draining both our peace of mind and our bank accounts: credit card interest. For many of us, credit cards started out as a simple convenience. A dinner here, a gift there, an unexpected car repair. It felt manageable, even helpful. But over time, those balances can creep up, and suddenly you're paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars in interest alone. Not for things you're still enjoying, but for purchases long forgotten. Joanne, a 70-year-old widow from Florida, knows this struggle firsthand. Throughout her life, she was careful with her money, but after losing her husband, loneliness crept in, and she found herself reaching for her credit card more often. A little online shopping to lift her spirits, special gifts for her grandchildren, repairs around the house. Nothing extravagant, just life. Yet slowly but surely, the balance grew. One afternoon, while reviewing her finances, Joanne realized something heartbreaking. She had paid over $9,000 in interest over just 2 years. Her heart sank. That money could have gone toward medical bills, home improvements, or even a long overdue trip with her sister. But here's the beautiful part. Joanne didn't let shame or guilt define her. She took action. She contacted her bank, arranged a manageable payment plan, started making steady payments, and sold a few items she no longer needed. Most importantly, she forgave herself, because learning from mistakes is part of living. Debt isn't just a number, it carries feelings with it. It can steal your sleep, weigh down your spirit, and stir up anxiety. But debt does not have the final say in your story. You are not alone in carrying this burden, and you don't have to fix it all by yourself. Help is out there, and there is always a path forward. The less debt you carry, the lighter your heart feels. And the lighter you feel, the more space you create for joy, freedom, and peace. You deserve that lightness. You deserve that joy. And step by step, you can reclaim it. Number 4, the silent drain of unused subscriptions. There's a subtle tactic companies rely on. They expect us to forget. They bank on the idea that we'll sign up for a free trial or a service on impulse and then never bother to cancel it. Over time, those small charges, $9 here, $15 there, start to quietly pile up without us even noticing. Margaret, a 66-year-old from Texas, learned this lesson the hard way. During the pandemic, she subscribed to nearly every streaming service available: Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, and even a few fitness apps. At the time, it felt like an act of self-care. With the world in chaos, having entertainment and fitness options at her fingertips gave her a sense of comfort and control. But several months later, Margaret had an eye-opening moment. She realized she was barely using any of the services she was paying for. Week after week, she found herself watching the same 2 shows, reruns of her favorite old mystery series and a cooking program, both of which were available for free through regular TV or basic online access. Meanwhile, the other services sat untouched. Curious and a little suspicious, Margaret sat down with her bank statements and did the math. She was spending over $90 a month on subscriptions she hardly used, adding up to more than $1,000 a year. That realization hit her deeply. She thought about all the ways that money could have been better spent. A weekend getaway with her sister, extra savings for medical expenses, or even just a few special meals out at her favorite restaurant. But here's the beautiful part. It wasn't too late. Margaret took action. She carefully reviewed her accounts, made a list of every subscription, and canceled everything she didn't actively enjoy. She decided to keep only one service at a time, rotating them month by month depending on what she truly wanted to watch. In doing so, she stumbled upon an even greater treasure. Through her local library, she discovered an app called Kanopy, offering thousands of movies and documentaries completely free. No hidden fees, no guilt, just stories that touched her heart and made her think. The truth is, we are often sold the idea that having more is the key to happiness. But in reality, having less, fewer choices, fewer distractions, often leads to a deeper sense of satisfaction. When we aren't drowning in endless options, we can genuinely savor the ones that truly matter. If you haven't reviewed your subscriptions lately, now might be the perfect time. You might find yourself not just saving money, but also breathing easier, feeling lighter, and reconnecting with what really brings you joy. Number 5, the cost of chasing the jackpot. Every Wednesday and Saturday night, a quiet kind of magic fills countless homes. Numbers are chosen carefully, tickets are tucked away in wallets or pinned to refrigerators, and for a brief moment, it feels like anything could happen. Dreams take flight, debts erased, homes paid off, family trips around the world. It's a sweet moment of possibility. But let's be honest, especially with ourselves. Lottery tickets are not a retirement plan. They are a hope we keep feeding, long after we've stopped keeping track of just how much it's costing us. Dolores, a 65-year-old from Ohio, knows this story well. Every week for years, she faithfully bought her Powerball tickets. A few dollars here, $10 on payday, maybe even $20 if the jackpot soared high enough to catch her imagination. For Dolores, it was never just about the money. It was about the dream, about the thrill of what if. She imagined paying off her mortgage, setting up her children for life, and seeing places she had only read about in books. Each time her numbers didn't come up, she simply shrugged and thought, maybe next time. But one quiet evening, Dolores decided to do something she had never done before. She totaled up how much she had spent over the last 5 years. The number left her breathless, over $5,000. And that didn't even include the scratch-offs or the spur-of-the-moment extra tickets she had bought during those giant jackpots. $5,000 gone. And what did she have to show for it? A box full of losing stubs, a handful of daydreams, and a small sting of regret. That night, Dolores made a new promise to herself. She would stop chasing luck and start building her own version of hope. Now, instead of spending $10 a week on lottery tickets, she transfers that money into a savings jar she calls her Future Joy Fund. With that fund, she's taken a pottery class she always wanted to try. She's joined her friends on a day trip to a nearby botanical garden. She's bought thoughtful gifts for her grandchildren. She's created real moments of happiness, not empty promises. Here's the deeper truth that few ever say aloud. We are already rich. Rich in love, in memories, in lessons learned and wisdom earned. That is the kind of wealth no ticket can ever buy, and no jackpot can outshine. So if you find yourself still picking numbers and dreaming of that big win, I gently invite you to pause. Ask yourself, what is it I'm really longing for? Is there a way you can start living that dream now, instead of waiting for the luck of the draw? Because the beautiful life you imagine isn't won, it's built. One small, wise, and loving choice at a time. 6. The true cost of food delivery convenience. There's no denying how effortless food delivery has become. With just a few taps on a phone, a hot meal arrives at your doorstep. No cooking, no cleaning, no hassle. It's tempting, especially during busy or difficult times. But over time, the convenience comes at a cost. One that's not just measured in dollars, but also in health, emotions, and even our sense of self. Linda, a 63-year-old from California, experienced this firsthand. After losing her husband, she found cooking for herself painful and lonely. At first, ordering takeout felt like a lifeline. Thai curries, burgers, pasta, whatever comforted her in the moment, would show up at her door several nights a week, sometimes 4 or 5 times. It spared her the emotional weight of cooking for one. But a year later, at a routine doctor's visit, Linda received news she couldn't ignore. Her blood pressure was higher than ever, she had gained weight, and worst of all, she felt persistently tired, physically and emotionally. Curious and concerned, Linda sat down with her bank statements and realized she had spent over $3,000 in a single year on delivery meals. Meals that were, more often than not, heavy in salt, low in nutrients, and consumed alone, in front of a silent TV. It was a wake-up call she couldn't ignore. Linda decided to make a small but powerful change. 3 homemade meals a week. Nothing extravagant, just simple, wholesome dishes like roasted vegetables, soups, grilled chicken. Foods her body understood. Foods that reminded her of better days. And slowly, something beautiful began to shift. She found joy in the small rituals again. The aroma of garlic sizzling in olive oil, the peaceful rhythm of chopping fresh onions, the quiet dignity of setting the table just for herself. She even invited a neighbor over once a week to share a meal, trading recipes and stories. Her health improved, but even more importantly, her spirit lifted. Food delivery isn't the enemy. There's absolutely a time and place for it. But when it becomes the default, we lose something deeper, the connection to nourishment, to memory, to care. Cooking is not just about feeding your body, it's an act of love toward yourself. It's a reminder that you are worth the time, the effort, and the attention every single day. Number 7, the guilt of unused exercise equipment. We often begin with the best of intentions, motivated by a new year, a birthday, or a quiet promise to ourselves. This time, I'll stick with it. So we invest. A treadmill, a sleek stationary bike, a set of polished weights, sometimes costing more than our first car. We picture ourselves energized, fit, vibrant. But then life, as it does, gets in the way. Take Nancy, for example. She's 69 and lives in a peaceful cul-de-sac in Georgia. Last spring, feeling hopeful, she purchased a top-of-the-line elliptical machine. It sat proudly in her living room, a symbol of new beginnings. For 2 weeks, she used it diligently. And then, a sore knee, a visit from family, a change in routine. Little by little, the machine became just another piece of furniture. And then came the guilt. Every time Nancy walked by it, she felt a pang, not just about the money she had spent, but what she believed it said about her, that she quit, that she wasn't disciplined enough. But Nancy's story is far from unique. Many of us fall into the trap of believing that buying expensive equipment will be the magic solution. And when it doesn't work out, we carry unnecessary shame. Here's the truth. It was never about the equipment. It's not about the $2,000 machine gathering dust. Your body doesn't need fancy gadgets to be healthy. It needs something much simpler. Joyful, consistent movement. A walk around the neighborhood, gentle stretching on the porch, dancing to your favorite songs in the kitchen. Nancy eventually gave herself permission to move on. She sold the elliptical to a neighbor who truly wanted it and joined a local walking group that meets twice a week in the park. No expensive gear, no pressure, just fresh air, comfortable shoes, and good company. And guess what? She's happier now. She's moving more, sleeping better, and feeling stronger. Not because she spent more money, but because she created space for habits that actually fit her life. So if you have unused equipment gathering dust, be kind to yourself. You're not lazy, you're human, and you deserve movement that brings you joy, not guilt that clutters your home. Number 8, the empty promise of overpriced courses. There's something incredibly alluring about personal development programs, the kind that claim to help you find your purpose, reignite your joy, or fill that invisible gap in your life. And while some of these courses can be insightful and worthwhile, others are simply expensive detours. Barbara, 71, from Minnesota, knows this all too well. After retiring from decades of nursing, she found herself in unfamiliar territory. Without her daily routine, the deep fulfillment of caring for others, and the purpose that shaped her identity, she felt adrift. So when she stumbled upon an online coaching program that promised to help reignite her inner fire, she didn't hesitate. It cost over $4,000, but she convinced herself it was a necessary investment in her next chapter. For months, Barbara showed up, attending Zoom workshops, completing workbook exercises, joining group chats. Some moments sparked inspiration, but there was always a lingering sense of disconnection. When the program ended, she sat down with all her notes and realized a hard truth. Most of the insights she had paid for were things she already knew deep down. Lessons earned from her own life, from years of perseverance, love, loss, and resilience. And that realization changed everything. Barbara understood she didn't need a paid guide to find herself. She had never truly been lost. Instead of looking outward, she turned inward. She joined a local book club, began volunteering at a women's shelter, and started mentoring a young woman navigating grief. Through these simple acts of connection and service, her sense of purpose quietly returned. Not because someone had promised it, but because she gave it away freely. Real growth doesn't always come with a high price tag. Often it comes through meaningful relationships, acts of kindness, and trusting our own lived wisdom. If you're feeling uncertain or adrift, remember this: you don't need fixing. You're not incomplete. You're simply in a new season of becoming. And the greatest course you'll ever take is the life you've already lived, with strength, courage, and heart. Number 9, the hidden cost of buying a brand new car. Let's talk about one of the largest purchases many of us make, buying a brand new car, and how it can quietly deplete our finances without offering much in return. There's nothing wrong with wanting a comfortable, reliable vehicle, especially when we retire. Safety and comfort matter, but the decision to buy a brand new car doesn't always make financial sense. The truth is, a new car loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. Edith, 75, from Illinois, had always driven used cars. But when her old sedan finally broke down, she thought, I deserve something new. She walked into a dealership and bought a brand new SUV, fully loaded, with monthly payments that left her worried. At first, she loved it. The new car smell, the smooth ride, and the compliments she received. But as time passed, reality set in. After just 1 year, the car had already lost more than 30% of its value. Thousands of dollars were gone, and because her budget was now tighter, Edith had to cut back on other things. No more weekend getaways, no spontaneous lunches with friends, just a shiny car parked in her driveway. Eventually, Edith traded in her new car for a certified pre-owned vehicle, a 2-year-old SUV with low mileage and still under warranty. Her monthly payments were halved, and she used the extra money to take a long-awaited train trip through the Rockies. That trip brought her more joy than any new car ever could. Here's what Edith learned. We don't need to impress anyone anymore. We don't need to chase status. What we need is peace of mind. And sometimes peace means choosing something practical, simple, and smart. If you're considering buying a new car, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, what do I really need? There are many reliable, affordable options that allow you to maintain your freedom without sacrificing your financial future. The journey is far more important than the car that gets you there. You've made it to the end of this video, and I want to thank you for taking the time to listen, reflect, and ask yourself, is there something here I'm ready to release? Letting go is not about loss, it's about making room. Room for more freedom, more calm, and more of the moments that truly matter. The ones that don't come with a price tag but stay in our hearts forever. Maybe today you saw yourself in Edith's story or recognized parts of your own life in her journey. If so, know that you're not alone. We're all figuring things out as we go. Every wise woman has made a few choices she later outgrew, and that's not failure, that's growth. At this stage of life, we're not here to impress. We're here to feel light, to live authentically, and to walk with peace in our hearts and kindness in our hands. So whether it's an old spending habit, a bit of financial fear, or a belief that no longer serves you, today may be the perfect time to release it. Let yourself breathe and begin again. I'd love to hear from you. Was there a moment in today's video that really spoke to you? Is there a shift you're ready to make? Share it in the comments, not just for yourself, but for someone else who might need that spark of courage too. And if this video brought you even a small bit of clarity or comfort, I hope you'll pass it on to a friend, a sister, or a neighbor. This chapter of life is too precious to walk through alone. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself. Spend wisely, live freely, and always remember, the most beautiful investment you can make is in the life that still lies ahead.